my business is going to be successful. So if these are the tools, I refuse to lose.
And I love this part of the deal because it really sets agents up for success.
Having that structure just truly just allowed me to become very successful very quickly.
Next thing I want to touch on in here is I think everybody's favorite, the scoreboard. George, I remember when we first spoke, or maybe after it was more first or second call, and when you saw the scoreboard, your eyes lit up as a coach, a lifer. You're like, is that a scoreboard? I'm like, yeah. He's like, I'm gonna own that thing. And it's so funny that 8, 9, 10 months later, however long it's been, like you literally are owning that thing every week. You guys both are, but like you're always you said it, you're a man of your word. You said, I'm gonna own that thing. Because like, when we talked, it's like if you can own the scoreboard, you're gonna do well in the space. Because I know there was some concerns when we first talked. It's like, man, if I dive in full speed, man, this has got to work. I'm like, well, I can't guarantee anything, man, but I can tell you what, run the play and you should be fine. And it's awesome to see that you're really just taking the play and the bull by the horns and executing. And do you want to touch on the scoreboard since you kind of own that thing?
Yeah, it truly is the way in which you can make deals. I mean, what we were taught, and that's the thing, is the teaching that Vreeland does is incredible, in the sense that the moment you come in, they tell you, hey, this, in order for you to be successful, these are the things you have to do. You got to make the 22 conversations in a, that's in a week. You got to have at least 22 conversations. Well, I have 28. So like those deals are happening. Like, for today, for example, I had 3 offers out today. Like, not many agents can say, hey, in a single day, I had 3 offers go out. And it's truly just because of the fact of, running your numbers, making sure that you're making the calls, making sure you're texting, and keeping in contact with people. At the end of the day, what we do here is we build relationships. As an agent, what makes you unique from someone else is the relationship you build with your clients. And the scoreboard helps you do that and keeps you accountable. And that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, and I think what people, I mean, I don't care what industry you're in, we've said this a couple of times, but sales is sales, whether it's insurance sales, real estate sales, automotive sales, solar sales, it comes down to really activity and skill sets, right? And we can work on your skills, we can polish your conversations, we can work on objections and rebuttals, but you have to have a certain level of activity or you'll never succeed, or you'll be very limited, let's just say. So we can kind of take the data that we've had from all of our top producers from before and say, okay, if you can do X amount of points per week consistently, this should be your net commission income. And what's our magic number, Danielle? They have to be minimally.
I think it's 120,000, 120,000, right?
How about for a week?
Oh, my bad. I'm
Does
thinking
it feel like that?
year.
I'm like, darn it, Jordan, change it on me.
Thinking yearly. My bad.
Holy cow.
Was
8,000 points
8,000
right? And that tells us, and it's just what's neat about it is, and I'll show you what these points mean to the audience here, but like 8,000 points of activity per week on a consistent basis, we know usually translates to about 100 grand net commission income in a year. And, if you have a loftier goal, like George, you had some pretty lofty goals. I said, okay, you probably got to shoot a little higher, and you've been doing it every single week. Some weeks you're on vacation or off, but for the most part, that's the level of activity you need to put in or the level of work you need to put in consistently. And you can trip and fall and get deals if you're in the right environment and just putting in the work. Like it's not easy, but it's simple if you really just dumb it down like that. And just to show the audience, like it means like George had 9 appointments last week. Those are the heaviest weight because that's the best thing you can do as an agent is get in front of somebody. It's 500 points per an appointment. And then an email is only 1 point because it's an email. It's important, but there's no vibe or tone or pitch in an email. But the biggie, George, you hit it earlier, is it's not just about calls either, because calls, you can make 1,000 calls if you're not talking to anybody. What difference does it make? But the conversations, we implemented that after the fact, like really tracking that, because the calls get to your conversations and your conversations get to your appointments, right? But if we can do, what's the metric? 22? 22 and 22. Jordan, why is that important?
Because 22 conversations, it's everything. You could call, text, like you're saying. You can call. Sometimes people get overwhelmed, like, I'm calling. Like, I know, but you're calling at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. It's probably not the greatest time. Would you like somebody calling you 90 times at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, or I call every day at the same time. Like, I understand, but it's more like a telemarketing company. So the conversations is gold. That means you're calling them at the right time, but you may have good text messaging. You see, George has 311 texts. Josh has 206 or 2,065, 91 calls.
In a week, right?
Yeah, he has really good text. He has good communication. He finds that he's at 13. So obviously he's got to pick up his calls a little bit, but he has really good text flow. A metric you want to look at is your texts want to double your phone calls. 300 is a good metric, but if you have that steadily and you can keep your email game twice a week to your database, if you can keep that up, keep those conversations at 22 every week or north of 22, and that's 22 over 2 minutes. If you do that and you're saying the right things, then it's really hard not to wind up with 3 to 6 contracts a month at a time.
Right. It's hard to fail. I mean, really, there's so many checks and balances in place. If you're just putting in the work and having enough conversations, it's really, again, I hate to say, you can trip and fall and get some business, unless you have half a pulse. But and everyone's point makeups, I think it's interesting to point out too, is a little different. Like some people are making a little more phone calls, like you just pointed out, and some are making having more conversations. Some are making more calls because they're trying to get to more conversations. But as long as you're kind of consistently hitting that flow or that number, it's people are producing. And I love this part of the deal because it really sets agents up for success, because so many times I talk to agents that they feel like they say the right stuff. They feel like they're doing everything they're supposed to do. They're watching all the training videos, or doing this or doing that. And they're just like 6 months go by and they're like, I still haven't figured it out or done a deal. And then it gets discouraging and they want to get out of the business. Where with us in 2 weeks, we can say, listen, man, you're doing 1,000 points a week. You're not going to make the money you want to make. And it's easy for us to kind of manipulate or tweak their day at that point way early on, instead of waiting till it's too late and they want to get out of the business. That's why I love this.
I had a question, Jason.
Uh-oh.
So this took me, and heck, I make more mistakes than everybody put together. But I wouldn't look at this for a while. I'm like, all right, until my coach said, you really got to focus on it. Like,
Right.
okay, all right, but it's overwhelming and they don't have time and I'm so busy. And then show me your calendar. Like, okay, I guess I'm not that busy. Because I have white space in the calendar. So Danielle and George, I'll start with Danielle. How long, and realistically, how long did it take you to understand the conversations and the calls and the texts and the emails? Or is it still a learning process now of how important that is? Can you see a direct reflect from the success you're having?
Yes, absolutely. So probably within my first 45 days, and in that time, I had 6 executed contracts, because
Savage.
I came in and took the system very, very seriously and sat down and was like, my business is going to be successful. So if these are the tools, I refuse to lose. So every week, day in, day out, make the calls, emails and text. It depends. So I'm in a different market. I could do better on that. We can always improve. And I love that here at Vreeland, because there's always something to learn. Continuous training, role plays, different scenarios. So before you're ever hit with it, you already have come back and knowledge on the background. But yes, I picked up on it very, very quickly. Like, why? They're giving me the tools. Why would I not sit here and make the numbers? That's just digging myself a hole for my business.
Oh, good answer. It took me a lot longer than you. Good job.
It's the truth. It's the truth.
No, I mean, it 100% it works. I didn't pay it, but I made excuses, which you can't make excuses. George, how long, or did you do the same thing? Did it take a little while? Are you still like, yeah, I'm still understanding, or did it hit?
It took me a little bit longer. For me, it was more of the fact that what I loved was you took the time to sit with me and say, hey, show me your calendar. Show me what you're doing. And I think that's when things changed for me, when we sat together and you actually broke down my calendar. And now I'm teaching people. You made me a team lead. Now I'm teaching people how to do that and set up my calendar. I think that's what made a difference in my day and made a difference in my production. And I recommend it for everyone. I think that setting up that structure, and me, which I came from the education background, having that structure just truly just allowed me to become very successful very quickly.
That leads on to our next topic, the support and the training. That's, I agree. And I think, Jordan, you've always preached like this is such an unorganized and, unstructured industry. And a lot of people that are used to that 9 to 5 life, or being told what to do if they're a student or they're a professional, whatever they are, they're kind of always got they're always told what to do next, in their day. And then you kind of get into real estate and like, all the stuff is here, but then what do I do with it all? And now what? And it's easy for your day to go by and not really accomplish anything, even though you felt like you were busy all day. And so that is a very powerful piece for sure. I agree, George.